Howdy folks, Little John. How he's going? First official video for 2022. Yeah, I know it's been a couple up, but they were pre-recorded last year, so this is the first one I've done for the year. I'm back home. We got back from down the coast yesterday. We had a nice break. A little bit of beers and things from that will come up on a video a bit later in the month when I do the beers that were December, which will fall into a Christmas and New Year type of response as well. I've been out swimming. Been away for 2 weeks. Middle of summer, we've had a lot of rain, a lot of sunshine, we've got a lot of grass. So I've had a big day of in the yard. Washed the dirt out with a loaded dog a little bit earlier. Let's get a bit on in the afternoon. It's time I'm sitting down and I'm going to do a taster on the Pliny The Elder. I know when I did the brew day video, which I'll link up the top there, I had hoped to get the review video done before Christmas, and I planned to, and just ran out of time. We're doing all those other videos I was doing leading into Christmas. I had videos up over the break. I just didn't quite make it. So anyway, so here we are. So before we get into it, thumbs up, shout out to all the Patreons. Guys, always thank you for your support. There's a link down the bottom if you're interested in Patreon. Check it out, might be your thing. If it's not, yeah, that's fine. Hit the subscribe button instead. That way you get notified when any videos come up, you don't miss anything on the channel. And there's a like button down there as well. You can hit that if you like what's going on. It all helps out. Anyway, let's get on with this. That's it. Pliny The Elder. Double IPA, one of the original double IPAs. And I said the story's back there on the original video. I'm not going to go through it again. I've done the batch. There was a double dry hop, and I said the recipe's back there as well. Now the dry hop was on day 2 and day 5. No, sorry, day 7. So day 2 and then 5 days later on day 7. I said they were small dry hops compared by modern double IPAs. Day 2 dry hops were 28 grams each of Centennial, Columbus, and Simcoe, but it was meant to be Simcoe. I didn't actually have any Simcoe. I miscalculated, and I thought I had Simcoe and I didn't. So I've replaced the Simcoe with Chinook. Yeah, similar, but not quite, not far off. I don't think it's going to make too much difference. So that 28 grams of each at day 2, so a total of 84 grams. Like I said, that's very minimal for a double drop, for a bloody double IPA. And then 7 grams of each again on day 7. So that was then held for 6 or 7 days, which was, then I started the cold crash. I cold crashed over 3 days. I brought it down to 1 degree, held it for 4 days, and then bottled. 1 9-litre keg and 7 of these fellas, because I didn't have any bottles. I bottled up a whole whack of other stuff for Christmas, for giveaways and presents and whatnot. So the only thing I had left was the water bottles. So I went for 7 of those. So this is off the fermenter, straight off the all-rounder, bottled under pressure. There wasn't a real lot of gas there. It seems to be, hopefully there'll be enough there. I wasn't looking for a massive amount of gas on this fella anyway, but we'll see how we go. So probably not the greatest way of bottling your Pliny The Elder, but anyway, well, she's poured up all right. Nice head. There's a reasonable amount of gas in that. Ooh, smells nice. Like I said, the tasting on when I was bottling was quite nice. So I was happy with that. Numbers wise, target gravity was 1072, got 1068. So I was pretty happy with that for running through with the brew in the bag method. Yeah, generally not as efficient as one could get, so I was pretty happy to get within 4 points. Final gravity, I got 1014. The original recipe aimed at 1012, so 2 points over there. So we've lost 6 points in the mix. So gravity's ended up alcohol's finished up at 7.2% in the bottle, in the keg, where target was 7.9. So we're a little bit off there, but yeah, I don't think it's going to should make too much of a difference. First crack at it, I'm pretty happy with those sort of numbers. So we have a look at her. It's a nice deep golden orangey type of thing. That's actually, I don't know if it's showing up for you guys at home, but that looks delicious. Poured just a light thick dense head, which is now fading a little bit and it's just dropping down to a really solid sort of a cap. But it's a nice clingy looking head. Again, I don't know how well that's going to show up there. But yeah, she's clear. It's hazy, well, deep coloured, but it's clear. The nose is just, it's not super in your face, mad and punchy like I said, like a modern double IPA is, but it's definitely got enough nose there that you know it's a decent sort of a beer. There's nice stone fruits and a bit of tropical note there, melon. Anyway, let's get into it. City got me sniffing the fucking thing all day. Okay. She's tasty. There's plenty of resin. Good pine. There's a really substantial pine note there. The work that's way through from the back, late in the mouth, and just worked through. And just dragging passion fruit and a touch of apricot, stone fruity peaches and that sort of thing. It's just dragging those sort of flavours like from the back of the mouth to the front. There's a big sweet malt presence. It's not the big bitter hit up front that you'd expect, and that's what I've discussed on the brew day video. There's a lot of hops here. There's a lot of IBU. 127 IBUs calculated for this recipe. Let's discussed it on brew day. I pulled the initial bittering hop addition down, as a lot of people have done and suggested that have done the recipe since it was originally released, which cut it back massively compared to what the recipe said. Now, having not tasted the real thing makes it impossible to compare how this profile is compared to the real deal. There's a lot of hop flavour there, like right from the outset. There's plenty of resin coming through from that big addition up front of the Columbus, and the Amarillo backing that up. And I said, and that boil addition of the Simcoe is really noticeable. I said, I think that Chinook, that late Chinook's bringing some of that, an extra of that pine fruit. The Simcoe's going to bring some, the Columbus is going to bring some, but I think that Chinook's bringing a bit more pine and would possibly be in the normal, in the normal recipe. But it's not a lot. I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. I think it would be there, but the thing I think that I'm assuming that's not really here is that in-your-face bitterness that I think should be there. That's going from my experience of double IPAs, old school, that they were intensely bitter beers. They were savage in the bitterness. This is not savage. This is big, hoppy and resiny, but it's smooth and rounded. Maybe that was the intention. Maybe that's how it's meant to be. Because it is indeed very tasty. And that initial, for what is, well, 74 IBU from the initial bittering addition, with another 60 in the next 30 minutes. So there's around 120, 130 grams of bittering hops. It should be a lot more intense. So I think putting the Columbus into the mash, which I did, which was not within the standard recipe, has, I think, given it a much rounder note. So I think had that actually been put into the boil directly, I think that would give a lot more intense bite up front. So from this beer's perspective, I think going into that mash, not putting everything into the boil, has worked. I said there's 58 grams of Amarillo, which is going to contribute 53 IBU at 90 minutes. But I think sticking the 66 grams of Columbus into the mash, which only gets us 21 IBU, I really think had that gone in as a boil, there's significant difference in bitterness. I think maybe a borderline issue with this beer. I really think if you were to pull out a real Pliny, it would be a lot more savage in the front end. This just seems to be far too smooth and rounded and comfortable for that style of beer at the time it was originally brewed. Yeah, I really think, I think it needed a bit more punch up front to give that initial hit, and then have that big fruity, piney finish come through. And it's quite sweet as well, so I think the bitterness would have really balanced that up quite nice. It's almost too sweet. And again, I think had that final gravity come down a little bit further, then I think that certainly would help with the sweetness a little bit. But I don't really think it's really been contributed by that sort of, by the gravity. It's more about just the high amount of malts and the massive amount of hop resins that are in here. I mean, and anyone who's drunk those old school double IPAs and even IPAs, from around that time, will remember and understand that the level of resinness that was in those beers, what the resin levels were. Very, very different to the modern double IPA, where they're getting all the hop flavour from, massive dry hops and whirlpooling. Incredibly different result to what you're getting with big upfront additions of big resinous hops. Getting so much resin, so much alpha acids. The betas and stuff, getting that into that beer and just having that filling your mouth, and that's what you're getting with this. This is resin. It's resin and malt. And the reality is there's very little of what we now recognise as hop flavour coming through in this beer. It's bloody, it's tasty. Certainly glad I've had a crack at brewing it. I said, I'm confident that it's not unlike the real thing, but I'm also confident at the same time that it's enough not like the real thing to sort of go, here's a clone of Pliny. I'm happy to say, here's an interpretation, my interpretation of the cloning recipe as an old school double IPA. I really don't think you could in any way say this is a clone. But who knows? If anyone's watching from the good old United States of America and can get their hands on a Pliny and would feel obliged to send me one, please contact me. I will pay postage cost. I will pay for the beer, no problem at all. I will pay a thank you cost. I would love to be able to try the real deal, and not even to be able to compare it to this, but just to be able to try, such a beer, such a well-known beer. So, anybody in that part of the world, feel free to help a brother out, as they say. It truly is the only way to compare. This could be so far off it's not funny. But it's nice. Like I said, I think if I was to brew it again, I'm not probably rushing to brew it again. But at some point I'll probably will have another crack at it, especially if someone can send me a bottle. But I really think for anyone at home who feel that they might want to have a crack at it, I would probably say yes. Look at the initial edition, that initial hop edition. I will stick a link in the description down below of the Brewfather file, my Brewfather file for this beer. So if you are interested in having a go at it, then you can look at it. Well, like I said, what I would be doing next time is taking the very first hop edition, like I said, which is 66 grams of Columbus, which I put into the mash, and I would be taking it out of the mash and adding it into the boil as a standard 90-minute addition, along with the Amarillo that also went at 90 minutes, or even potentially at 60 minutes. I'm just gonna stick this in and just see what difference it makes by changing the mash addition to a boil addition. It's currently 21 IBU as a mash addition. Now if I change that to the boil at 60 minutes, boom, now that addition now becomes 94 IBU. So that takes us to a total IBU of 200. And as if you go back and watch the original video, I discussed this whole discuss the argument and the discussion around that initial addition, and whether it was being portrayed right and whether it's actually accurate to be that, because that's a wicked heavy beer, 200 IBU. But as I said, given where this is, it would not surprise me if that is correct, and that's where it should be, to give you that fucking in your face up front bitter hit. So I'm thinking there, like if that boom was there, and then this resin sweetness come through the back to calm it and settle it. I can see that would be a beer experience. As it is, it's very nice, and I've got to say, it's been a long time, but it is quite reminiscent of Stone's Arrogant Bastard, which is the closest beer I can probably say that I've drunk in the same sort of realm. It's a beer that came out probably not real long after, and was around the time of the big, massive bitter beers. So I think it's the same thing. So I think, yeah, if you were to do that, I realistically think that's going to get you close up. That big boof, big bitter hit, and then the massive resin sweetness coming over just to soften that in your mouth. Because, yeah, as fucking tasty as that is, it's not where I know that style of beer were at the time. So that's my suggestion on adjusting this recipe. And as I said, that's an adjustment that's been made by several people who have done the clone, and they've done it, and realistically for the same reasons I did it, because that initial that big addition seemed to be outrageous. What was in the recipe, having tasted the beer, I don't think it would have been. I think it would have actually, but I think that addition is correct and would have been right, and would have worked really nicely. So that's where it's at, guys. As always, yeah, thank you for watching. Thanks everyone for supporting. If you've got any comments, any questions, and I'm sure there's probably plenty of those, stick them down the bottom. Let's have a discussion about this beer. Have you brewed it? Have you not brewed it? Have you tried it? What's it? If you've tried it, what is, can you describe the beer? Is it, all out fucking bitterness up front, which I sort of expect and haven't got, or is it rounded, and completely approachable? Have you brewed it? How have you gone about it? What have you got? No? Are you thinking that you might brew it yourself? You want to just tell me I'm a handsome devil? Whatever it is. But yeah, I'm going to wrap it up, but I'm going to just finish off by saying this, as it is a bloody, it's a bloody nice beer. Yeah, that. This is this backs up an argument that I made for a long time about using hops in the boil to get flavour. You can get plenty of flavour out of hops in the boil. It's just different than using them dry or in a whirlpool or both boil. And I think and a lot of newer brewers are missing out on these sort of beers. A lot of people that are coming on the craft scene now are missing this experience. These resiny, ballsy, fucking full-on beers. I recommend everyone brew this just a little bit, but brew this at least once. Brew something like this at least once. If nothing else, just to freak fucking some of your friends out when you give it to them. But that's me. I'm done. Little John. We're back in 2022. Let's keep it rolling. I'll catch you again soon. We'll be brewing beer, we'll be drinking beer, we'll be talking beer. But either way, whatever it is you're doing, good brewing.